Greetings, dear ones. I'm Cryon of Magnetic Service. It's a celebration. This time, if you could assign a consciousness to that which you think is Cryon, it's a celebration. It's so difficult to try to tell you that I am not an entity, that I am a piece of the soup of God that comes and inhabits my partner's consciousness with permission for a little while, in order to give you the messages of a new earth. An earth that is starting to shift gradually on its own in a new paradigm of energy that is only just beginning to show itself. It's a celebration. I sit in a room with light workers who are interested in their spiritual part. We're trying to make sense of the puzzle of life every day, each on a unique path, as I've said. And each one has a solution that is different from the other. And it starts to then show what we want to teach. There is no generic pill, dear ones, that everyone takes and that solves a problem. Instead, that there is an overview, a concept, a confluence of ideas that come together that would say that if you trust that part of yourself which you know to be a piece of God, things will fall into place. It couldn't be simpler. And yet it is difficult for a linear human being to do this. For you've lived a lifetime so far, no matter whether you're young or a senior in this room, there's a paradigm of the way things work for you. And you'll go back to that over and over because it's always worked before. And that's why we want to tell you, you've got to start thinking out of that box because that paradigm is moving. And it's going to be more difficult. And one of the hardest paradigms to break is a dysfunctional New Age. And I want to start talking about that. Common sense. There have been light workers who've asked me, when, Cryon, is everyone going to come around to our side? When are they going to wake up and realize that their belief system is wrong and ours is right? And you know that that's not what's going to happen. It makes them no different from the others in a box of their own making, pointing the finger at the other, deciding who is right and who is wrong. I want to tell you the way this is going to work, and it isn't going to work the way you think. The planet is being given different attributes through the grids that have been described today. The planet, through the system of time fractals, is now in a condition that is more conducive to softness than ever before, than to those who don't want war than ever before. And it's an oxymoron because there's more of you on the planet than ever were here before. There's more opportunity for disagreement and war than ever before, and yet the opposite is starting to happen. Eventually, human nature itself will start to shift and change. Now, the old soul is the engine for that. But light workers have this strange idea that everyone's going to come to their side. They're going to wake up to a reality that they have. And that's just not the way of it, dear ones. It's going to be bigger than that. By itself, the planet is going to start to seek a balance of its own. And it's going to start by looking for balance in human beings and being attracted to mature, common sense, balanced ideas. That's the shift. It's the old soul who is the engine of that shift and is the actual one that is the seed planter of it, often working in the background. But you've got to be with it and not apart from it. And that's what I want to talk about. So the point number one, the planet by itself is starting to shift consciousness into a more balanced condition. They're not all going to be who you are or believe what you believe. And that may be news to a whole lot of those who would listen to this channel, that the earth would work in that way. So we're starting to talk about spiritual common sense and your part in it. So let's look at the New Age for a moment and remind you one more time. New Age, the very expression in some countries, means cult. So we often use the word esoterics as well. New Age and esoterics used in the same sentence, sometimes the same way, to mean the same thing. I want to give you a little bit of the history of this belief system which you belong to. It is unique on the planet. There's nothing like it. It is nonlinear. No wonder you like it, because there are no rules. It is the only one without a leader or a prophet. It is the only one without some kind of central guidance book or organization. Have you ever thought of that? And yet there are millions of you all over the world, and if it got you together in a conference, you'd find that you think pretty much alike. Without a book, a prophet, or a doctrine, you have one of your own, and it's extremely similar from human to human. Almost like there was a template someplace that exists with it all, that you were aware of it intuitively and work the template, which is basically that which is spiritual for every human on the planet. And you'd be right. And that is the seed basis behind that which is the esoteric belief system on earth. And what makes it valid is the very fact that without leadership, book, or prophet, there is very, very similar information from group to group, no matter what language is spoken. The seed truth of all of it is that you have connected with the main prophet, which is your higher self. And that connection, as was discussed today, contains the system of the way you should live if you want to have the connection remain. There are no shoulds, there are no rules. There's only completeness, and you seek out balance. And the more balanced you become with these esoteric things like your higher self and soul groups, and whatever else you want to call that is around you, supporting you, the more you balance with it, the longer you live, the healthier you are, the more you understand about your own rich Akashic record of how many times you've been on the planet, what you have done, and what it has meant. It opens an entire world of possibilities for your health, for things to come, for synchronicities that you've asked for. It tests the mettle of your faith. For it is not normal for a human being to stand and expect the unexpected and be comfortable with it and not wring their hands wondering whether it's real or not. It's not normal for a human being to trust the unseen so much that it becomes their reality in a day-by-day walk with what they consider God. It's not necessarily normal for a human being to be single and without a partner and completely and totally satisfied because they are in love with the God within. And if a partner comes along, then it's okay instead of something that needs to be in their life. That's a common sense maturity of falling in love with yourself. That is the higher self in you, which is the essence of the Creator. If you had to give a system for the universe, it's a benevolent system of completion. From physics to biology to spirituality, everything wants to complete itself at a higher level. You might say this attitude of benevolence is biased to the positive, and you'd be right. There's nothing out to get you, human being. But when you have a belief system that is so open, where the rules are etched upon a template you cannot see or read but intuit, it draws in certain kinds of individuals that think they are light workers, and they're not. They're self-workers. And I want to talk about it, and we're going to give a name to it, and it's going to offend every one of them. And that's not what I want to do. I'm not here to hurt hearts. I want to give not names, but I want to give situations, and if your name goes here, you know I'm talking about you. There's basically two kinds of light workers. One is a spinner and one is a worker. You tell me how this fits when I start talking about it. You spin in the drama of conspiracy. And the conspiracies may be absolutely right on, dear one. They could be actual and happening and not your imagination, and you know it and we know it, and you spin in it. You spin in it. And for years you go around and around trying to find out more and more about this in the guise of helping others to know more about it so they can spin too. And the drama just reeks and spins from you, and you splatter it everywhere you walk. Now I want to ask you. You say, well, that's not me. Okay, I want to ask you something, dear one. How many friends have you got? I mean real friends. When you go to a party, do they avoid you or do they clump around you? And you will say, well, I don't go to parties, Brian. And I'm going to say, of course you don't. You're never invited. Because you're a spinner and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. Are you not aware of the people who will come and you talk to you and they walk the other way and you never see them again? What do you think that's about, spinner? And your answer is always the same. I have my truth, and my truth is my truth, and this is what this is my work on the planet. And I want to tell you, that is old work. And it's not working. Because the real work, dear one, is to fit in and have the love of God seen in your life and not the drama of what you think is important. You're interested in this, you're interested in that, to the degree that you have cast out any sense of balance that you could possibly show. Some of you are recluses because nobody wants to be around you and nobody wants to partner with you. And you have justified this whole thing saying, yes, but I have inside me knowledge that the universe has given me and only me, and here it goes, and here it goes, and here it goes. That's your free choice, and if you want to sit there and spin, you can. But that spin is old. And it's not going to get any better, and not going to have any new friends, and you probably will never get a partner. I don't want to give you the antithesis of that. I want to show you where this is going. Light worker. You have some of the same attributes, even the ones who sit here, because you have ostracized the people around you because of your belief, and you know that. And whose fault is that? Well, there's no fault. We're not in judgment. We're just talking about energy not matching. Are you following this? You're going to move from an energy where you hold your truth no matter what to an energy where you start looking at people differently and acting differently, and you never have to give away your truth, ever, ever. You never have to tell anybody what you believe, ever. You can mingle with the human beings that you believe that will never be interested in anything that you're doing or might walk the other way. We talked about this even the other day. And all you're going to see is the good things in them. You're not going to look at them as the opposition. You're going to start first with your family. How do you like that? That's going to be your testing ground. I know who's here. What if they could see in you a difference? Children will see it right away, by the way. You're going to soften and look for the things that are positive and you have in common with your family that you can talk about and get them to relax with the fact that you're okay. I don't want you ever to preach to them again, ever. Hear me? That is old. I don't want you to even tell them what you believe. That's old. I want you to show them who you are by the love of God in you. It's time for show and not tell. And that is a new paradigm. How you act. And you're going to be aware of the test by how many you collect around you who you never had before, who see balance in you. Every master who walked the earth collected those of not like mind, but ones who were attracted to balance. That's who you are. You have this ability. You show somebody love and kindness, they're going to act differently to you. You show somebody your truth, and they're going to walk away. So it's time to relax. Your truth is your truth, and you have taken it in, and you can work on it all you want to, but it's time to join the planet in love. And spend time with those who you would not normally spend time. Schedule a time with somebody in your family who doesn't like you. And see what you got in common. Maybe you can forgive each other for things you never did. Do you see what this is? You're going to soften. Soften to the things that you never thought you'd soften to. You don't have to pretend to be anything else except a master. Patient, kind. Disengage your buttons. Let them yell at you or say things. Disengage your buttons and don't fight back. Have you heard that before? Don't fight back. Love them. Pretty soon they run out of ammunition. There's nothing they can say when there's no reaction. And you can look them in the eye and you can say, I love you. No matter what, I love you. And watch their heart soften and all the things that they'd ever said go away and meld into nothingness. And there comes a commonality that both of you see the God in each other, and that's the way it is. Huh? And the spinner, you're going to have to go a long way to drop the paradigms that you have depended on all of these years. Brian, am I going to have to drop the conspiracy stuff? You can hold on it if you want to, but it's going to have to be private, and you can't share it with a soul. You could do more with energetics around this than you can with your mouth. You understand that? If you see something inappropriate and you know it's inappropriate and you feel it's a conspiracy against the planet or you or anything else, even with the government, you can do far more because you got the connection to spirit to work on it in the ethers. You verbalize it, nobody wants to be with you. How is that helping the planet? I'm not here to hurt a heart. But maybe you're seeing some things in yourself you didn't see before, and it's time to change the paradigm. It's time for you to gather the mastery around you. How much do you talk about yourself? Stop it. You don't even know it. Sometimes that's simply a defense so that people won't ask you what you're into. And you meet them and you have to tell them what you're doing and what's going on and what you're doing and what's going on and what you're doing and what's going on. And all of that is so they'll never ask, well, what do you believe? Because if you're always pushing, you never have to listen, you see. And it doesn't take much of that before they will walk the other way. Learn how to address the questions of what are you into. So it is a statement of balance and not one of affront. If you believe it's going to offend their belief system, keep quiet. It doesn't reduce your magnificence. Do you understand that? For you to be quiet. It doesn't reduce your magnificence to listen to them tell you things that you don't believe in while you look at them and see the things you might have in common so that you could be together with them and not have a problem. It's a new paradigm. Some of these things may sound familiar to you because the masters told you all of them. The principles never change. What has changed is the soup you sit in, called reality. You now have the ability to do these things and you will be supported. And you're going to start finding that they work. And it's going to shock and surprise you because you didn't think so. You'll go on to teach your children, your grandchildren the same thing on the schoolyard and ask them to do certain things and watch the bullies change. To disengage the hate or the anger or simply the juveniles who will do things that juveniles do. When they're faced with maturity and balance, they won't do them. Interesting how things are going to start to change. So the old soul is the catalyst for the earth to start to soften in this way. But if you sit and do what you've always done, and you sequester yourself because you're different, they'll never know you, and they'll never know the God in you. Could it be any clearer? I want you to go from this place thinking about what you can do that's different than what you have been doing. Knowing that whatever you decide intuitively will be correct for you and you'll have support. We are here. Our hand is out like never before for you to take and walk through these issues. You do the hard ones first, everything else is going to be easy. That's the message for this day, for all of those listening, reading in this room. It's a beautiful message, is it not? That the earth would be balancing in a way that you had to adjust to it as well. It's time to come out of the closet. And so it is.